then that's absolutely wonderful. And next hour will be very, very interesting.
All right, Andy.
Make sure to plug in and turn on the device, Andy.
You need to make sure that the microphone's plugged in, Andy.
Right.
All right. Have you clicked the unmute button yet? Because if you're trying to talk and we can't hear you, I do see a mute icon next to your name. It is not red. That should indicate that you do have permission. But yeah, come on, buddy. We can do this.
You just got to click the voice and then click your little mic button, which probably has a line through it, but that just means that you're self-muted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give the people what they want, Andy. They want to hear from you, brother.
We want to hear you. We want
to hear your voice.
You. I'm sure something's gonna happen. We're gonna hear a peep.
Yeah, he's still showing muted. Oh.
Let's
see. Is he there? Can we hear him?
He
came off mute.
You're there.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man, I'm so man, this is frustrating.
Lindsay with an E said, "Oh my God, he's real."
Dude, this is man. I want you to know something here, man. I've been dreaming about this for a long time now, and you know, you just envision it going off without a hitch. And man, God, this is just, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
oh come on, man, it never goes off without a hitch. What are you talking about?
We are
you know,
hitchy.
You know how it's gonna kind of start. You know, when I was a kid, I used to watch the WWF, y'all. And I'm not talking about the World Wildlife Federation. You know, I'm talking about wrestling. I'm talking about like real fake wrestling. You know what I mean? Not this WWE stuff. And you know, you'd have that person, they'd come onto the stage and there'd be this grand entrance. You know what I'm saying? Like when, you know, the wrestler.
Yeah, dude.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
It was like the exact opposite of that, wasn't it?
Dude, like I really wanted, oh man, if I could have that back, man, I could just see it, like, you know?
Yeah, you gotta like run out and like body slam somebody like that gift that Bearcat.
Wait, guys, wait, 1 second. I think I've got something to bring this back. Give me hold on. I'm not sure. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna bring it. Just
all right, let's just give me a second.
Let's just see.
Oh, you're gonna remember me from this one.
Is this what you wanted?
Right on song, people now grow like a cherry tree. See ya. Right on song, people now grow like a cherry tree. Right on song. People now know you remember me.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 years of digital mystery, we are very proud to announce a very mysterious figure on the internet. We have Andism here. Was this the hype that you needed?
Oh yeah.
Wednesday. The WIP throwdown.
Man, like as far as easy, Dylan, I mean, as far as Jim, I appreciate y'all playing along with me on that one. That microphone thing was a problem, but
how did you body slam? That's what I want to know.
Man, I'm going top rope on this one. I'm going top rope. I'm jacked like I've been drinking coffee in the basement for hours. So, man, I'm ready to do this, man. I want to let y'all know, man, I'm really happy about this launch. And I just want to also say that with each of these weeks, being able to listen to the people that are publishing on WIP Publishing, man, it's been absolutely awesome to hear each one of them, hear some of the personal stories behind it, get them to read some of their work and everything. It has absolutely been a pleasure to work with all of y'all and get to hear y'all behind the scenes as well.
It's been really a pleasure getting to know you and hearing about your very interesting and different ideas that I'm sure you're going to share some with the crowd here.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited about this, man. And if it weren't for everybody that works with WIP Publishing, even the people that work, underneath the hood, the ones that crunch the ones and zeros and really make this engine run. I'd be still sitting, waiting for a dream to come true one day, but I'm actually here today making it happen. So I want to thank each and every one of y'all for being a part of this journey.
Andy, you are so welcome, man. We are so lucky to have guys like you, man. Like, we are so stoked that you are here.
Well, it's time now, man. I've been excited ever since I got to talk to y'all about starting to get ready to launch this project. This has been years in the making, and for actually to be able to do this now, it's exciting. The best way to kind of approach the work that I'm going to be talking about today is actually through the concept of how I want to release it. And that wouldn't have been possible some years back, but because of the blockchain, because of WIP publishing, and because of NFTs, that time has arrived.
It's interesting.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Spoke
Especially
to us
the NFTs, bro.
Yeah, I mean, what it is from the concept. For years now, I've dreamt about releasing a book and doing it in segments. And with each of the pieces of those segments being unlocked by puzzles. And with the NFT, it really made this feasible. When I wanted to do it as many as 5 or 6 years ago, it was just something maybe on YouTube or this or that. But now to be able to actually give out prizes as far as one-of-one NFTs for whoever solves the puzzle first and shows their work. They just don't come up with an answer, but actually shows their work. We'll get this one-of-one NFT, but it'll also launch out a variation of the same work of art that there'll be 100 of them. And we're going to be doing 12 different pieces. And so we're going to be giving out all 1,200 of these pieces for free. And if you end up collecting all 12 pieces at the end of this release, you'll end up getting a free copy of the book when this release is done.
Wait. That sounds a little different to me from what we've done in the past. You're gonna be dropping art to support your book, Andy? Is that right?
I mean, it's a weird kind of concept now, but I mean, it's just, I remember talking to y'all about it, and like Easy was the first to get in touch with me when he found out I had a work that I'd done. And the situation is I found this amazing artist. He is absolutely incredible, and he wants to go for the full ride. And this has decided he's going to put out 12 different unique pieces that'll all be one-of-ones for those people that crack the codes, but also making it fun where people can interact with it. There'll be things like scavenger hunts kind of ideas that we're going to go along with for marketing purposes. And anybody that participates, as long as you're in that top 100, you'll be able to get a free NFT each drop.
So cool.
Wait, so all of the NFTs are going to be free? I can't believe what I'm hearing here. This is incredible.
It's just about participation. It's about something as far as getting involved with something, enjoying it. I've never wanted to release this book all at one time. It is a very complex kind of stuff, a very manic depressant where you go through like these highs and lows, and it's not meant to be read all at one time. It's meant to be devoured. And so to be able to do this, and each time I'm going to work with Libernet as far as the YouTube channel we're working on, and we'll be releasing puzzles as far as on that. That's where we're going to be releasing the first puzzle. But we're also going to be doing as far as different participations as far as with different things to make it where, like, if you don't solve the puzzle, you can at least come and hear how it was solved, go down that rabbit hole as far as the puzzle itself. And then we'll release some of the book and be able to talk through some of the scenarios that go with it.
Wait, now you're talking puzzles to me here, Andy. What's the deal with these puzzles?
It's just, I mean, back in the day when I was younger, they had a Cicada 3301 that popped up on the internet. For people that don't know what that was, it happened like in 2012 to start, but it was on the deep web, and they wanted to look for people that could work with code. And it was really interesting in the fact that nobody knew really where it came from. They don't know if it was a CIA kind of project. Was this a think tank? Nobody knew where it came from at all. But it really kind of set me down the path of, I want to make these puzzles and do it like that. But I don't want to make them complicated where people are going to need to know a lot of like different kind of functions of the different ciphers or the different puzzles. I want to make it interactive where, it might surprise the person that ends up getting the puzzle right. It'll be, and just like we were talking about Dylan and Easy and y'all, like, if there comes a time where the situation, we're not going to let these puzzles go too long. If we need to do a YouTube like Libernet stream where people ask about different questions as far as the puzzles, and we need to give out some hints, that time will come. But I do believe that for the right person, the person that sees, especially this first puzzle, you're going to either know it or you're not going to know it. If you know it, you'll know it right off the bat.
Oh man, that sounds incredible. Yeah, Jim, I'm sorry, I've been talking too much.
No worries, no worries. You obviously have a lot to say. There's a way that you are going to initially have people be able to find these puzzles, right? After today, I believe you want people to follow. If you want people to follow WIP Publishing and follow the Libernet Live YouTube channel and all the rest of it. Do you want to personally give people sort of the heads up on how to actually get ready to find this very first puzzle?
Yeah, man, this is really exciting. I talked to Dylan a little bit about the possibility of maybe even putting up the little prologue, the first few pieces of the book, and maybe even a little teaser as far as the first piece of art that they'll be getting. Right. I actually opened up a Twitter page probably about almost 6 years ago. There's only one post that has ever been done by it. And it's when I started originally trying to put this puzzle all together. So it's been in the works for a long time, but that place is where we're going to first get some people to go besides WIP Publishing on Twitter. His name is Ashley Isaac Stevens. There's 2 A's in Isaac, and there's an S on the end of Stevens, or you can find it at the @ Ashley I Stevens with an S.
Is that Stevens with a V or a PH?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a V. Yes,
a V. A V. Oh, okay. We normally do PH.
And for the first,
I thought I heard B. Stevens.
Yeah.
Stevens.
Yeah. So freaking for the next 50 people or so that join that site, they will actually get the first Genesis piece of this puzzle after the release of the puzzle itself. And once it gets broken, everybody that gives us their addresses and we'll get a free first NFT of this project.
Wait, what? You're going to airdrop the entire line of the NFTs for this project to people who retweet you on Twitter?
And just get involved on that Twitter page. Actually follow it. Make sure that they can see where the next piece of the puzzle is going to come out. We'll be doing everything from there as a central location of sort of to just generate curiosity. I have the first video up that some people have been dropping. Anybody that remakes that video, and we're going to see how many people get the likes, how many likes you can get from remaking the video, doing it in your own style, and the top 3 people will get the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 of this Genesis piece.
Nice. I mean, it all sounds. This is we were talking about this before, Andy. I mean, what we were talking about is this very interesting take on using the internet as a sort of scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt or like a breadcrumb trail. And the internet is so good at this because there are so many avenues you can talk about. You could explore on the internet, and I don't think many people have really seized that opportunity. There was a hip hop group called Death Grips, and they really took this kind of cryptic treasure hunt, kind of subverting the audience's expectations to a new level. When they would sort of release things, like fake Twitter accounts would turn out to be their real Twitter accounts. They'd release interviews without the audio of the interview being there. There's all sorts of things, and I really am surprised at how little this has been utilized, because we were also speaking about genuine GPS locations where certain physical artifacts could be buried. I want to be clear on that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that idea?
Well, the idea behind that is actually, as we're kind of developing more LED kind of displays where you can actually take your NFT art and display it, whether it's in your office, your home, and that type of thing, it really made me start thinking about the aspect of what if in this last puzzle, the last puzzle piece was something where me and the artist got together somewhere in the world, most likely I would say in the United States, just to narrow it down. Hate to do it, but it's probably going to be needed. But the situation is, what if we made it where the very end was a scavenger hunt, where there would be a display case that displayed all 12 pieces of the artwork, and when you opened it up, the encasement would be the first copy of this book being released.
Right. Right. That's so interesting. That is so. It is fascinating to utilize this treasure hunt, especially when you're bringing it back into the physical form. I think I made a sort of joke about, it's like bringing mining into the Bitcoin back into the real world. If people want to actually go to this location in the world, probably the United States, but somewhere physically, and uncover this actual artifact as though it was like a lost relic or something. It's a fascinating idea.
Indefatigable.eth just said treasure hunt, and that's right on the
Yes. I gotta
marks the
say,
spot.
I love treasure hunts. I've been like dreaming about cool treasure hunts since I was a kid. And when the iPhone first came out, I had an idea for like a geotagging treasure hunt thing where you point the camera and have to line up a frame and then like take the picture and send that in to get the clue or something. But this is a very new and very cool way to get those NFTs out, and so much being available for free just by, staying active and maybe figuring out some of these, ciphers is going to be just, I think, an incredible way to make it fun and get people their NFT and get people their books.
Yeah, Easy likes the ciphers, everybody. That's fantastic.
Yes, I do.
I have a
So I
question.
mean, what?
Go on.
Yeah, go on, Jim.
I was just going to ask, people that are a little unsure on what the puzzles entail, what do you need to actually, once you've received this puzzle, if you are one of the lucky people, what would you need to actually work the puzzle out?
I mean, there's going to be different things. As I said, I remember like around Easter, I was on this little scavenger hunt with a bunch of people, and we were in Discord, and all of a sudden the scavenger hunt like went crazy, and you could hear the people in the Discord just going crazy on their computer, going through source code, going through all this stuff. I don't want it like that, because all of a sudden it felt like a bunch of people were left out going, what's going on? What are y'all doing? And they were just going away like crazy on their keys. Each of these puzzles are going to be like through poems. There is going to be some different ciphers, but I really don't want to make it too complicated. If we go into it a little bit further and people start wanting to be challenged a little bit more, I do have some people that can work on some serious puzzles for us, but I'd like it to make it where, sometimes you're just watching crazy TV shows or watching different things, and all of a sudden I'm talking about in this poem something you're like, I watched that on TV a year ago. That was crazy. And you already know kind of what I'm talking about. And other people will be like, I didn't never hear about this story, and want to look in that rabbit hole and start going through those little mazes of not only the solution, but just how crazy the story is itself.
Absolutely, yeah. And the story itself does sound right. Like we're going to at some point interview Ashley himself, perhaps in a month or two, and what we're sort of talking about with interviewing Ashley is it's very, very, very noir, very bleak, very interesting, very cerebral. This kind of interview that we have planned out. Do you want to talk a bit about this as much as you want to tell people right at this moment?
Right. Yeah, like that, definitely. This is a great little segue into this part right now. The reason why it's important as far as the way that I wanted to tell this story is because it actually isn't over. This story, as far as that I'm releasing, is called Synchronistic. It's by Ashley Isaac Stevens, and that is a pseudonym. And I'm actually working on the second book. I'm about halfway through, and it is called 6 Minutes, and it is actually written by me. And I've been very protective of this first book because it's not done, and because of the subject matter as far as the book itself. because
So
this
would you
book
say it's a work in progress, Andy?
Title card.
Very good. So yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm still working through this character, and basically, it has to do with a suicide. And so, like when anybody wanted to get up, check it out or something in the past, I always wanted to talk to them about this first because it's not done. This is almost a purge, if you will, as far as this first book. It is almost like the dark as far as coming to light. The 6 minutes is actually after your heart stops beating, you have 6 minutes of brain activity. So if a dream lasts a mere second, how long can that 6 minutes last and what all could happen? And it's actually his death scene and him seeing what was supposed to happen in his life, what he missed. And I never felt comfortable about putting this book out without either A, having a chance to do these puzzles one day, or B, finishing the second work so that it was completed so that people could see both sides of the coin.
That's a very interesting. I mean, that is like, when you compare, like, the sort of the mystery of a man's life, and especially when we're going to be talking to him when he's passed and he's no longer with us, and we're going to be talking to his consciousness from the other side. And then when you talk about the puzzles, which sound related to what led to his death, there's like a whole layer. There's layers here. It's the point where like where it's almost uncanny. Like it almost forces people to be curious because you almost don't want to know what particularly happened, or you don't want to find out too much in some sort of Lovecraftian kind of context. But that intrigues people more if you're told that be curious at your own risk. It's only going to make people more curious. Like, you should know that what's behind the veil, both in terms of these.
Do not press the button, Jim.
Do not press the big red button saying unlock a free NFT here.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's fascinating, Andy, and I'm very looking forward to for people to sort of begin to look at these puzzles and uncover what's going to happen, for people to sort of start talking.
Right.
So once again, you have to retweet. You have to follow the Andism account. Follow the Ashley Isaac with 2 A's, Stevens with a V. Follow the Ashley Isaac Stevens. And then follow Libernet Live on YouTube. Are there any other things that audiences, both here and people listening afterwards, should have to do?
No, I mean, just buckle in. Like, this is about to be a ride. I mean, the reason why, I think that's a good start. I'm looking forward to, what I feel like with this first Libernet YouTube video, besides releasing the puzzle, we're going to be kind of really able to crack open a good bit more of this Ashley, the concepts within the work itself, because, I'm sure you can imagine when you're giving to your family a book that you're like, hey, I wrote a book, family, it's about suicide.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you can imagine kind of like, hey, Andy, do we need to sit down and have a talk? Like how many times I've kind of had to express the concept of whether even, I want to kind of play with the concept of whether this is nonfiction or fiction. Like, how do we know what happens to you after you pass? And what if Ashley's trapped into this darkness, this place void of time and space, until his story gets told, releasing him from this type of purgatory, if you will?
Absolutely. I mean, and thus adds to the mystery. I'm sure I'm sure it makes people wonder whether there are things that are going on in this whole sort of this whole hunt and quest that you aren't telling us yet. It makes you think, what's what is this end goal? What are these other sort of hidden things going on in this underneath this whole hood? It is fascinating. But there was something I wanted to sort of touch upon, and that's in relation to collaboration and people from all around the world coming together to work on something and unlock something and complete something, which relates very much to your concept of collaborating writers. I think you know what I'm talking about here. Could you explain this kind of ethos and this kind of this advocacy that you're encouraging writers, especially writers here, especially writers that haven't got the gall to write entire books but are very talented and just simply haven't got the confidence or the connections to connect with other writers.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, that's one of the things, like when I was listening each of these weeks on these calls and these people that were, each of the artists and each of the authors that are putting out their work on this WIP publishing, I just kind of sat back and imagined the people that were there, like, man, that would be so cool. Like, getting to hear their excitement and their voice each week, and even the passion last week, as far as hearing all those names being released like that, was just, God, it was so much and so touching that it was one of those things that kind of really sat back and was like, man, you know, there's so many gifted people. So many are getting into NFTs right now and doing art, you know, maybe trying to, as far as a song they did, but also there's people that are poets, you know, and write poetry, or I've always kind of maybe wanted to write a little bit and see what it could happen. But writing a full book is very intimidating. And then trying to put it out and hope that people like it after it's completely done and you spent all that time working on it personally yourself, you know, I felt like there was a project that could really come together, and we've kind of nailed on at WIP Publishing a couple of different ideas that we want to invite people that have never written a book before, maybe have started some short stories and really have always enjoyed it. And one of the concepts is choose your own adventure. And it goes back, and this was really from Eric and all the hard work he's put into it. I mean, that's going to be really cool as far as back in the day, if people don't know about choose your own adventure, you would get to a page and it would say, if you want to take the right door, turn to page 247. If you take the left door, turn to 146. And the story kind of continues on from there. And we'd like to get some people together to collaborate on a piece together like that. And it sounded like Dylan had a really good idea of almost starting from the end with that, so that we can kind of really place that and have that work good. But we also have a concept of what I'm calling a writer royale. As far as with wrestling, I'm sure that kind of surprises people. But it is basically an idea where we would start, and we might even have teams of younger writers and people that are more developed writers working together. But I can see it being like where you write 5 or 10 pages, where we start with a concept of just maybe, I'm thinking just a person that's coming to, they have amnesia, and there you go, start. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Like what age is it? Is it 1800s? Is it 2050? You know, like what is going on? And we submit 5 to 10 pages on that story front. And then what we do is we'll get people to vote which ones they like the most. And we'll kind of start that story from there and get everybody to write 5 or 10 more pages and just see each of the artists that end up getting a piece. Because let's say you start with this story and you write 5 or 10 pages and you have this whole storyline that you think is going to be great with that 5 or 10 pages. But then we use somebody else's work. It takes you being creative and just picking up where that left off and starting your story fresh from there.
Absolutely, it takes full advantage of the fact that the internet is a network. It isn't an institution, right? And funny, one of the sort of things I've noticed about a book is that it becomes an artifact, and it is very much constructed. What you're talking about here sounds like people will be growing a book rather than writing a book start to finish. It's taking full advantage of the networking and the fluidity of digital interactions and just making it like this, like a tree sort of growing. People add things, and it naturally grows just in accordance to however way people want it to grow. It's needed. It's needed so much. And when we're talking about making revolutions in the publishing industry to accommodate and take advantage of the digital space, this is exactly the kind of ideas that are going to do so well.
Well, absolutely, Jimmy. That is such an important point to make. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we've got the NFT books on L2 Matic over at OpenSea. So if you've wrapped your Ether to Matic, you can go trade those. You can buy them, you can sell them, you can do as you please with them on the Matic blockchain. And so what this does for you is as a reader is it saves you a lot of money on the fees, because the fees actually for the Ethereum versions of these books, the fee costs more than the book.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not the way it should be at all. But it's quickly being amended. When I hear people sort of talk about, this whole thing's bad because of gas fees, and it's like, well, no, actually, everyone in this space has a huge motive to bring it down. And when we had this problem 2 weeks ago with Ethereum, we just had the idea to switch to Matic, and it solved so much of the problem within days, pretty much. And we're still not completely there, but it just goes to show like how quickly the NFT world is developing into what it needs to be. Sorry, Dylan, please continue.
No. Andy, let's talk about your book a little bit, bro. I might suggest that you read a little passage from it for the good audience that we've got here today that are so into your work and interested to see what you've been up to, my friend. How does that sound?
That sounds really good. I think this will really highlight the reason with just this one little story as far as why I want to break this up. As I said, this book is not supposed to be read through in just a few sittings. It would make people sick to their stomach having to deal with all that emotion just up and down. And so the idea is really to just read a simple few. Like I think each release, we're going to be releasing like 20 pages at a time. And the idea is to kind of during those go on to this Libernet Live and go on to this, the YouTube, and kind of digest and go over through some of the stories of that. And so I got a little short passage that I wanted to read y'all as far as this is going to be during the second release. And so I'll try to do this as best I can here. But so she grabbed one of the many trinkets from off her dresser. She was a trinket junkie. None stood more than half a foot high, and most less than that. She loved them so much because each one contained one type of a memory or another, and they didn't take up much space. This made for more memories and less space. Two birds with one stone, if you asked her. The current one in her possession was a small crystal penguin, the kind that looked beautiful when the light shines through it. The memory it possessed was a shop in town where she and the current love of her life held hands, stole glances at each other, and purchased the lovely penguin, a token of their love. Bobby was the name, not of the penguin, mind you, but the current love of her life. Many of the trinkets were from past loves, but she didn't feel like they should be just dumped in a drawer. Memories didn't deserve to be treated like. So the reason why I did that piece, I'll never forget showing that piece many, many years back to a person I was with at the time, and them reading it and saying, yeah, you know what, I don't agree with this. And, all these years later, sitting back, and being able to study that story, and it really is what it's talking about is memories. And when you get out of a bad relationship, dumping out the baby with the bathwater, just throwing all the good times, everything away just because the relationship is over. And I've never really kind of understood about those concepts and how people were so easily able to just throw things away in their life that are precious memories that we all get to share. Even if it was just that one day of love, that one day of love was worth it. It was love within this field of existence.
Oh man, you're speaking to my soul here, Andy. I am bad at breakups, people. I've always been horrible at breakups, and Andy's saying the thing that I do, which is I get rid of the stuff that the person leaves when I break up with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's just like that ghost where they were never there, and it just,
Right.
Whether it's a brother of mine or this or that, when, they've gone through a divorce and then they're bitter and, it's so many people lose that love as if they never loved, or they start questioning whether they ever had something. And it's like, man, don't question that. You had that for a moment. Like it's past now, but you did have it at that moment in time. And that's a blessing in itself.
Right. All love is finite as well. I mean, we can't, all particular loves are finite, and we, to sort of think that they aren't worth anything anyway, even though there is a horrible process you have to go through to sort of, return to being used to being single. you know, for God, it's that cliche. It's better to have loved than lost. And there's also that other cliche, you know, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And I'm not always a big fan of cliches, but they're so important. And to sort of hear what you're sort of saying with this book, you know, and to sort of talk about, to sort of go over those sorts of cliches, but in a very particular situated literary, you know, a particular context for your book, just, you know, sounds fascinating. It sounds like there's so much to unpack already, and we barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, you know, the idea with it, it is like a master, like kind of turmoil. He starts the very first line, you know, I always love those first lines of the book. And the first line starts off with, I would have done anything for her, and I did. So, you know, this is about a relationship, and I actually do it more visual than actual. It's, you know, basically it's written at like almost like a play. There's Act 1, Scene 3, and the scene will be named. And then there'll be Act 2, and it has an Act 3. And the interesting thing is the first act is called Sweet Beginnings, and the second act is called Bitter End. And there's almost this cross between the narrator, Ashley, from the beginning and trying to talk about the love and how much he cared about her and how beautiful she was. And then there's this contradictory Ashley at the end of the book where that's just like, screw her. She took everything from us. And so they argue even back and forth, this love swept over Ashley that he is at the beginning of this, to this destructive, throw everything away Ashley that he becomes at the end. And it's talking about us in general as far as life and how jaded we can get in life and how things can make us a different person than we once were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And to sort of go through it all and you know, embrace it. Unfortunately for Ashley's character, I think quite the opposite happens for him, and as you know, and that's going to be that beautiful tragedy of what happens when we do throw the baby out with the bathwater. Quite literally, you know, throwing everything out with the bathwater. You know, which is
that is a big thing with it. Like that is the last little crux I can put on this as far as diving into that aspect, is that Ashley feels like he's lost so much in his life that basically this book is going to make it all worthwhile. He says in one situation that people get satisfaction out of other people's misfortunes, so this is my gift to you. And he also gets to say that he feels like, he calls it throughout the book, this epic, if you will, because he says that he gets to feel like he wrote one of the greatest books ever written without ever knowing it wasn't.
Right.
Oh, it's just so incredible. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you're getting deep into like some very, very personal stuff, and I think that has a habit of happening on this show. And I just want to say that thank you for writing, because it's really amazing to see the written word and the power that it brings to these creators, you know, to get in here and just, you know, do something new, do something big.
And it's like you said, Dylan, like nothing has more power than the written word, you know. That's true. You know, when you say the pen is mightier than the sword, it's the mightiest thing. You know, the world runs on language and the stories that people tell.
Yeah, so I mean,
there's just so much more going on here than just writing, you know. So not only do we get you know, this amazing story, but also this amazing process to be able to interact and then receive bits more, and then interact and digest and figure out, and then get the next chunk. And like people being able to win so many NFTs and through different aspects of this, I just think it's a really, really exciting way to do the launch. And you know, it's great to also have you, like you talked about, you know, having this idea for so many years, to be able to now execute it and get it out there in the wild and in a platform like this, you know, with the TokenSmart fam. I don't think there's any better way to do it.
Absolutely, it's a groundbreaking process to promote a book on an already groundbreaking publishing platform. I'm wondering if people are going to be ready for this. This is like, it's one of those things. It's like, oh my god, like people won't know what's coming.
Speaking of not knowing what's coming, Jim, can you tell anything different about my voice right now?
It's a little clearer. It's a little clearer.
Does it sound better in any way?
I think so. Why do you ask?
Why? Because I've gone out and purchased a very nice microphone, and now I've got it plugged in. And the reason that I've purchased it is to record my voice.
What for exactly?
Yes.
I wonder, I kind of don't want to give it away if nobody has figured out what I'm going to be up to here or not yet. But I mean, with the crash in crypto prices, I think all of our books are actually on sale, and the fact that they're on Matic now means that they're also kind of half off, because the old half was going to the Ethereum miners, and so they're basically they're not taking their cut anymore. We're giving a much smaller amount to Matic for the same exact service. And so right now might be a great time to go pick up a couple of these NFT books, because what we can do is we can actually update them as time goes by. And so if one of our writers jumps in, and says, "Hey, Dylan, I would like to record an audiobook," it might just be possible that I could help with that now. We've got a recording studio expert who's one of our writers. He was a famous singer-songwriter back in the early aughts. He was one of the people that invented lo-fi, and he lives here in Austin, Texas, where I currently am. And the thing is that he's working with me on something very, very, very special. It's going to be an audiobook. It's going to be the Price of Bliss Eternal. That's going to be the first one that I do. Jim, have you got yours ready to go yet?
My book is going to be released. I'm going to be recording my entire Ecstasy of Nothing book within the next week or two. I have the prologue already released on the Libernet Live YouTube channel. Please, if you want to check out Libernet Live, it was one of the last videos we uploaded. It's really a lot of it. People have given me such high praise on it in terms of how I speak, the way I speak. Easy left the YouTube comment.
If I can jump in here, it is friggin' butter. I mean, so smooth. Like, everybody, I just dropped the link. Seriously, if you at all enjoy listening to audiobooks, just go listen to this and get a taste of how epic these are going to be. I mean, imagine you pick up a killer NFT book at, like, a very discounted price right now, like Dylan was just talking about. And then you get an airdropped audiobook so you can rock it in the car. Like, it's just, it's amazing. I love audiobooks. It's always been something, I used to rent them at the library, and then in the more digital age, there was an app that you could get them through, so you could have them on your phone, and, then Audible. And I've just always loved that kind of interaction, to be able to digest books more when you're busy or in the car. And then when there's a good voice reading it, oh man, then you're like really sucked in. And yeah, so everybody just go take a look at that link I'm dropping here at the YouTube and take a little listen.
On the Libernet chat, easy, just so people know where to go.
Oh, oh yeah, no, I'm dropping in the right place, I think. So yeah, it's not only is it an amazing, you do an amazing job reading, but the content is really, really interesting and thought-provoking, and it's just a great start to this story. So you really get a very full understanding of kind of where you're coming from. It's just a bang up job.
Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to reach out to me to sort of give me some kind of, tell me what they thought of it. And also, obviously, I'd be very happy to read other audiobooks, because, it seems to be something that that the guys here have really liked me doing. They're really happy. They're really happy with the way I've done it. So, but
yeah, you're really, really good at it, Jimmy. I wondered. I wanted to bring this up with a little bit of time left to go on the call.
Yeah, so we have questions.
I
Yeah, but
wonder
please go
if
on.
we could use our public presence here to pressure Andy into doing audiobooks with you, Jim. What do you think, Andy?
Man, I mean, we can talk about this. I want to do some fun with it. Like one of my pages is a radio dial, and it goes through a country channel, a hip hop, a love channel, a gospel channel, and tells a little piece of the story that's going on in each of those different vibes. So the thing is I'm interested in doing an audio book, but when it happens, it's not going to be like kind of a read in that way. I want it as aggressive and kind of, kind of, I want it off the wall and like just as much as the book is itself.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we can have many conversations about this. I mean, I'm already going to be doing, I'm pretty sure, Robbie Indefatigable's How Not to Be a Dick. We spoke about that briefly, me and Robbie, the other day. We're both really excited on that, so that's going to be really fun. And yeah, so audiobooks are in the very near future. We're going to get some lovely microphones, and we're going to be recording some audiobooks for you. Dylan's going to be doing The Price of Bliss Eternal, and other ones are going to come out. And if you buy the book now at the discounted price, as Dylan said, then you can just sit tight and wait for an audiobook to be delivered to your address. Now, not to pressure everyone, but we have about 8 minutes for questions. So if anyone, please don't be shy, wants to just ask anything at all, just unmute and just say, hey, I want a question, and then we'll focus on you. So please, any questions, go for it.
While we're waiting for somebody to unmute, just to say, if anybody wants to reach out to me as far as to Andy on Discord, number I think 8310 ANDE. I'm willing to do like podcasts. I'd love to come on different programs and be able to talk about this as well. So just wanted to reach out. Or if anybody wants to do some video work on some different kind of concepts with the puzzles, I would love to work as a team with people.
Is that 8310? Or is that 8130? Or did I get both wrong?
I think 8310.
8310 and then ANDE. Is that correct?
ANDE will be the start of it. It should be able to be able. So if somebody was in Discord and wanted to just hit ANDE, and then I believe it's 8310 as far as I'll find out real quick. But that's just
that's
if anybody
fine.
wants to chat about what's going on with it or have any other questions in a different time, that's another way we can go about it.
And of course, our Discords are all open. I'm obviously here as Jim Hapex. I'm James Reardon W on Twitter, and then we have WIP Publishing. I'm sure you can DM. And then we have Easy and then Dylan. So yeah, I mean, we're all very, very chatty guys.
Yeah, hit us up. And if you have any, maybe you're not a writer, but you have a cool idea that could be incorporated with books on chain, hop into WIP Publishing. If you like reading, if you like writing, if you have ideas and you like just, hanging out with people talking about cool stuff and NFTs, hop over and join us too. We do some, community calls and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun.
Hey guys, yeah, everybody, definitely do what Easy just said. Hop on over to WIP Publishing. We got the Choose Your Own Adventure book that we're doing. It's going to be never ending. We're working on a way to make it real open, so everybody can come contribute if they want to, and we'll all have so much fun. But I believe Grandmaster Yoda has a question he would like to ask. If you would like to go ahead and unmute your microphone, Grandmaster Yoda, I believe I have turned off your server mute, so you should be able to just unmute yourself if you like. Or you could type it into the chat. The first is, will the puzzle pieces unlock a chapter? Andy?
The idea, yeah. What's going to happen, I think that's the idea is Dylan putting up the prologue right now. We'll have a little teaser for the first puzzle. Once this first puzzle gets unlocked, we will unlock the next 20 pages and start the next puzzle. We'll do everything in succession. We won't have all the puzzles coming out at one time. We'll have each puzzle in a row. We'll have a puzzle release, and then we'll have the segment release.
Oh man, it's just so exciting. And Grandmaster Yoda's second question was, is Andy an idiot? And I'll go ahead and answer that for you. On behalf of all of us here at WIP Publishing, yes, we're idiots. Thank you.
all
I mean,
idiots.
Idiot all the
I
way.
know I know some non-fungible idiots out there. I definitely know some out there, and I want to thank every single one of them for their support.
My favorite writer, I think my favorite literary writer said that the most that the man should be at all times is a fool. If a man can't be a fool, then he can't be anything. So, and I always stick to that. I'm always very proud to be an idiot and a fool.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
like being a
another
fool, you
question,
can
which
be
is
anything.
from Real Smoking God. He says, do you guys write stories on the go or research them and take time to tell an intense storytelling? And personally, my first book took me 4 years to write, so there was a ton of research that went into it. But Jim and Andy, I'm assuming that you guys have answers for that question that are going to be different from mine.
Oh, well, okay. Actually, I'll let Andy go first, and then I might answer.
Well, my first book took 10 years, and I'm about 5 years through my second book. So, I mean, this has been what I call almost my magna opus kind of thing. This is
Right.
this is this is my lifetime of work, and really kind of studying and reflecting, on just a bunch of different thoughts. Just to say this real quick, one of my inspirations is I remember Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins got interviewed, and like when he got interviewed, they asked him, "Does he really think God is empty, just like him?" And he's like, 364 days out of the year, I don't, but there is that day. And I wrote my book as in those days, what those feelings were being felt then.
Absolutely. I mean, I can personally relate to the first book taking the longest. I mean, I had the idea for this book, The Ecstasy of Nothing, when I was 17, and I was sort of, I was getting interested in sort of interesting things or whatever, and then I was 23 when I finished the book, and now I'm 24, but I'm already writing a second book in my spare time when I'm not doing this sort of stuff, and I imagine that will take no longer than 2 years to write. I mean, once it is like someone, Andy said earlier, once one is done, it makes you go, oh, it is possible, and then you can write. Obviously, with what Andy's suggesting with the collaborating writers and the choose your own adventure, that hurdle will be gone as well, because people can only have to write a few pages of poetry or choose your own adventure scenes or whatever. So, the more hurdles we can break down to incentivize people to just be creative and do what they bloody well love, then the better in all of my opinions. I can take it absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, go on, Maisie.
I was just going to throw in real quick. I think having some of these different ways to also let anybody come over and just kind of write in the moment, like with the choose your own adventure and other types of cool activities we'll be throwing out there, is just a new way to interact with people and in an interesting way to approach writing.
Absolutely. Well, has anyone anything to say before we say goodbye and thank you to Andy and thanks everyone for coming up? After that, I would love to listen to that whole song, the whole song that we played at the beginning. We didn't catch all of it, we didn't have time, but man, I'd love to hear that thing in full. So, is there anything anyone wants to say before we wrap things up?
I want to shout out to Lindsay. She asked a question too. She asked us which two of us are from Austin, and it's actually just me on this call.
And I wanted to say peace, love, and whippy.
Whippy. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Andy. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, thank you all so much for having me, and I really appreciate everybody that came out and took some time out of their day to listen to something I was been working on a good long while. Y'all are making dreams come true, and thank you, everyone. I won't forget this.
We love you. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Much love.